good afternoon. This is Hand Dog Steve, and welcome to Steve's Garden. Please come take a tour of my garden, and we'll see how things are doing after a very, very hot late June and early July spell. Water is coming, hopefully, in about a week's time, but it's been a constant watering job, as you can imagine. Okay, let's go take a little look. So here we go, the wood is all stacked. I got about, well, there's 2 cord in here, and I've got another 3 cord coming. Okay, so let's start off in the greenhouse here. And as you can see, the lettuces are going wild. It has been so hot. In fact, I've been amazed that they haven't bolted yet, and of course you can see here this is the first signs of bolt. It's just instead of filling out, it's going up and getting ready to turn to seed. But I am going to have to tie up these tomatoes with some string, because they're just about at the top of the greenhouse right now, and you can see how sturdy and healthy these plants are. The tomatoes are just forming, and of course it is because tomatoes just love the heat. And of course, I don't know if you remember, I did a video on this, it's called Tickling Your Tomatoes. Tomatoes will self-pollinate, so whenever you see flowers, you just give them a little tickle with your finger, and you will help full pollination of all the flowers. In fact, you'll have the most amazing crop of tomatoes. Now, it looks like the pepper plants are recovering a little bit. These crinkled leaves are from the heat. It's been incredibly hot in this greenhouse, even with the sides off. Well, you can see there's the temperature right now. It is about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Outside temperature is 24-25 degrees, and in here is 32. But commonly on the last few hot days we've had, it has been above 40 degrees centigrade. And so anyways, the plants haven't really liked that kind of heat. One thing I did do was open up the very top part of the greenhouse here to allow some ventilation, to allow that heat to escape and not to build up, because it will of course get trapped down to the lowest part of the plastic. And the same with the basil. Look at that, the poor old basil. Anyway, it is still doing well. It's struggling on, and I think we're going to see some peppers. We've had some flowering, so I'll be seeing some peppers quite shortly. The beans too are busy flowering, so we'll be seeing some beans in there quite shortly. Now, what I'm trying to learn, and as I get going I will be more organized, but is to how to rotate these crops. So you see all of these lettuces are basically ready to go at the same time, and I want to be timing my plantings to get this just right, so I have some just starting, some coming on, and some ready to go. Anyway, the grapevine certainly done very well. Come back after a slow start and a hard winter. Yeah, even the potatoes are looking a little wilty. You know, I was going to trim down this huge maple tree, because I was concerned about the shade that it was going to provide over my garden. And you know, because of this hot weather, I've been kind of pleased to have the shade on part of the garden. Anyway, we've had a little bit of a potato bug or Colorado beetle damage, but by and large, just hand picking has allowed me to stay on top of it. And actually, you know, if you see minor damage, it's quite easy to get on top of it with, like I say, with a much smaller crop situation. Okay, so I hope that is in focus. That is what potato bug damage looks like from above, and when you flip it over, you can just see there the little grubs and the orange egg casings that they came out of. And they will just chew their way through these leaves. But like I said, they're quite easy to control because they tend to stick around where they first hatch, and as soon as you see this leaf damage, you know that you have potato bug larvae, and of course the potato bug larvae is what does all the damage to the crop, and so you can just nip off these leaves and put them in the garbage and get rid of them. They will stay on those leaves for quite a while. There's a lot of food there for these little grubs, and so like I say, they will not migrate out of your garbage can and be crawling all over your house. So just pop them in the garbage so you don't recycle, because they do fall into the ground over winter and come up in the springtime. So that's another little way to stay on top of the bug situation. And there you go, there's a couple of grubs there later on in their cycle. And like I say, if you get them at this stage, and this is just observation, you can nip this in the bud. Yeah, onions are doing well. As you can see, I've now turned the mustard under into the soil, and it is doing its thing. And next time we get a little bit of rain, which is about a week away now, I will reseed this. So the asparagus is just about done. I'm letting that fern out. But the key to asparagus is to just keep picking it. Just like most crops, the more you pick, the more the plant will flower. Bee balm. I love that jester's crown on top of the bee balm. But as you can see, there's lots and lots of peas here. So now, just a little point, when you are seed saving, what you want to be looking for are the best, the largest and the fullest pods. You can see all of the peas in there lined up. I would keep that for seed crop. So you keep your biggest and your best and your fullest, and you replant those because you want to improve your crop. And this is the best way to genetically modify any crop. Is the natural way, the way nature does it. Cross-pollination and selective seeding. See, look, there is a perfect specimen right there. And I'll tell you, these are nice sweet peas. Yeah, we're getting to the point now where I can weed the carrots. I always like it when they get their second set of leaves on, those little fern type leaves. But I was going to show you the damage from earwigs and what they do. I don't know if you can see down in there. They eat the central bud and it deforms and it starts growing up, and it just kind of curls up. And yeah, I missed these. It was a little too late, and look, you can see quite clearly the damage here. Anyway, they never seem to recover, unfortunately. There we go, there's an even better example. They just chew down, because that's a nice soft green tender shoot, and so they come out at night time and they will feast. So these will not really grow anymore. They're just about done. The scapes are off the garlic, and I'm looking forward to having some fresh garlic. Been a while. Now, this bed's being treated with mustard, and I did have someone send me a video about someone who had problems with using, he called it broadleaf mustard. Now this is hot mustard, okay, and I think it's very different from broadleaf mustard. So I just had the first weeding of the turnips, and the beets. I need to transplant them, but you know, it's so dry. I'm waiting for a little bit of rain so that I can safely transplant them. Now I did displace a couple of these whilst I was weeding, and they died. They did not like to be, that bottom root to be pulled out. The raspberries are so thick now they provide their own shade, which is good. And I can see lots of berries in there. The beans are starting to climb up, and see, look at that, they've got these two. Darn. This is my Jersey cabbage that I was going to try and make a walking stick out of. But it looks like they are done. Look at that deformed leaf. Dear, oh dear, oh dear. And these are the perils of being a gardener. Pests do come into your garden, and they love eating the food just like you do. And my Egyptian onions are doing some very strange things. I've never seen them do this. They usually end up with one head, just like that, with no things growing out of them, but these seem to have grown on and they're getting another head on them. Anyway, it looks like I'm going to have lots of little bulblets to go very shortly. Kale, always doing well. This is a good staple. This is easy to grow. This should be one of your first greens in the garden in the springtime, and it should be part of your experimental garden, because it's extremely easy to grow and it is incredibly nourishing. You can repair pollution stress and pollution damage on your body by eating these dark green leafies. Oh yes, I see some strawberries tucked under there. Looks like we're going to have some strawberries for supper tonight. Well, I hope you enjoyed this little ramble around my garden, and to sort of get an idea of where your garden growth should be, and some of the little warnings and danger signs of bug issues on your plants. But other than that, this time of year is a very pleasant time of year in the garden, because really all you have to do is water and watch it all grow. So happy gardening to all you folks out there, and please, if you enjoyed this video, like, comment and subscribe below, and we will talk to you very, very shortly. See you now. Bye.